Hello, I've been in a weird bind today where I feel like I have kind of important feeling things that I want to talk about in a video, but also yeah, I think the topic of this one will be like some things are just too complicated for YouTube, or would just, maybe it's possible, but you'd have to condense it a lot. I think Noam Chomsky has this idea of like the news, because of how bite-sized everything has to be, it like condenses stuff down and like complicated ideas just can't exist. Because yeah, I've been trying to make a video, like trying to make a YouTube video about my entire life story and like the things that I've learned and like the kind of major breakthrough that I had and like the ways that I was living under various delusions, kind of encouraged by self-improvement culture, and then what I learned since then. And it's just like, it's a lot. Obviously, YouTube is a crazy medium that's like full of like an infinite amount of content. It's very tempting to click away from a video within like 30 seconds. So I'm only like 2 weeks in, and at first it was like, oh, I'll just make dumb videos about whatever. And then it's like, oh, but maybe I could talk about stuff that's really important to me. Like that would be really great. But then you start thinking like, but is anyone going to watch it? And like, it's an interesting like design challenge. And I think this actually feeds into, so today I've been planning a video called like self-improvement culture has done me more harm than good, or something like that. And I just can't, this is part of the problem, is I now kind of hate YouTube videos that give advice, like prescriptive videos, like better ideas videos that are like, this thing is ruining your life. It feels really like, I really feel allergic to that kind of content now. It just feels so, prescriptive, and like there's just so much of it. It's really overwhelming. I definitely had an era of like feeling really overwhelmed by all that stuff and just like, oh my God, I have to consume it all and I have to action all of this. And I don't want to contribute to that. So it's tricky. And yeah, I also really don't want to like pre-plan my videos. I've so far been enjoying talking like off the cuff and just like, following what feels true. And then as soon as I try and write down like more of a script or something, it just starts to feel too like bossy and prescriptive. I just don't like it. And on things feeling too complex for YouTube, I think part of it is like, I could share something that I think really helped me, like just it actually did really help me, but like to explain the amount of nuance involved would just require like way too much. So you end up with these really like overly condensed takes that like really simplify things, and it sucks making something like that because as you're doing it, like this is dumb, I'm like missing out all this context and I'm not explaining things well, and it's just the whole thing. There's a David Foster Wallace interview where he talks about writing nonfiction, like persuasive nonfiction. He talks about his essay that he wrote called E Unibus Plurum, and he said that was the last one he ever did because he felt that to make a point in like a properly convincing way would require like 400 or 500 pages of pretty much just repeating the same thing over and over again from different angles, and no one wants to read that. So it feels the same with a YouTube video. Like maybe I could do some like 5-hour podcast or something where I just ramble and explain everything thoroughly, or write a whole ass book. But like, I don't actually want to do that. So it sucks because part of me is like, oh, I'd love to just do this in a 10-minute video. That would rule. But yeah, that just gave me the insight of like, maybe some things just can't be done in that format. That's just one format, and it's just like, YouTube is not the place for that kind of thing. So maybe that thing will just live in my head. I don't really know. But it's frustrating. But what are you gonna do? So I thought what I'd do instead is like, I feel like I have a bit of a feeling of I don't want to ever make a video that's giving advice or being prescriptive. And then I made a list of like, but if I did want to make a video like that, what would I call them, or like what would they be about? So like one is like self-improvement culture, I think did me more harm than good. Like YouTube self-improvement culture, I think it's hyper masculine in a way. It's like very left hemisphere, like you can solve all your problems with just like hard work and productivity and like get up at 5 a.m, have a cold shower, meditate for 10 minutes, like work basically. I just think it's such a grindy mindset, and I lived like that for years, and I think it was kind of terrible, and I think it really misses the point. Like for me, I felt really bad about myself because I was like really socially anxious and quite awkward. So then I was like, okay, what can I find on the internet that can help with this? And so you type in like how to improve or something, or like how to be a better man or how to be a better person. And then you stumble across self-improvement YouTube, and it's really enticing because it's like, holy shit, there's so much content, and there's really good like content producers who are like making really shiny videos that are very like enticing, and it just seems great. So it's like, oh my God, yeah, Ali Abdaal, like tell me what to do. And it assuages that feeling of like there's something wrong with me, because it's like, yes, I'm being proactive, I'm like working on this stuff. Now I'm like I'm making progress. But I think in retrospect, all of the like advice given and all the interventions are like kind of aren't, at least for me, weren't pointing it in the right direction at all. Like I made a list of all the things, and it's like a morning routine, how to be productive, like time boxing, pomodoros, like cold showers, like outwork everyone basically is kind of the feeling. And there's nothing around like, so it feels hyper masculine. It feels very like be productive, be effective, like and there's nothing there around like self-acceptance or like surrender to like your life as it is. Which there's that quote of like, it's only once I accept myself that I can heal or change. Because I feel like productivity culture is just this like, no, you can just grind your way through it if you work really hard, and I think just leads to burnout. I just think it sucks. And that's the thing too with regards to the like some ideas are just too big for YouTube. Making a list of all the interventions that are recommended earlier when I was planning this video, they all seem so laughably like small looking at them now. It's like, yeah, meditate for 10 minutes a day, just to kind of get mindful. Write in your gratitude journal, affirmations, cold showers. Like they're all good things, but I think they're all like pretty tiny, just small actionable things that fit really well into a YouTube video. Like you can make a YouTube video with like, here's this very small actionable thing that you can do. And it makes sense that that is what a YouTube creator would create, because it's stuff that people can use immediately and like feel the results. So they're like, oh, cool. Like, great. I watched this one video. Now I have a new thing to do. But I just think none of them are profound. None of them are like, hey, have you tried, I don't know, giving back to your community, or doing loving kindness meditation regularly, or just surrendering to life as it is. And like, I feel like I'm not explaining this well, but it feels like there's like, yeah, YouTube just incentivizes really quick kind of band-aid solutions and doesn't really talk about anything bigger than that. A really big glaring hole in life these days is religion. You know, like we're in this strange postmodern society where we don't have like cultural apparatus for like making sense of the universe and teaching us how to exist in community and stuff. We're very atomized. Another David Foster Wallace thing here is from his commencement speech, This Is Water, where he talks about like there's no such thing as atheism. Everyone worships. It's just you know, your choice what you worship. It could be money or power or beauty and stuff, and that's like a genuine reason to be religious. Is, you know, it's probably going to be more wholesome if done well than worshipping capitalism and self-advancement for the sake of it and all that kind of stuff. So that's one video that I would make, just like on self-improvement culture. I think is kind of toxic and misses out a huge amount and can really lead you astray if you're like dumb and don't have like I don't know, like parental role models who you can talk to and stuff. Like I think a lot of people who, you know, get into Jordan Peterson or whatever have like issues with their dad, so then they're like, oh my god, this guy, like he's my new dad and he seems so confident and stuff, and you just like lose track of shit. Another video that I would make is actually something that a friend said to me today in a voice message, which is she was talking about the idea of like a two-axis thing with like growth on one axis and then hedonism on the other, which I really liked, because I think this is actually another huge thing that productivity culture totally like fucking misses. Productivity culture is like work as much as possible, grind all the time. Like socializing is dumb unless you're like networking, you know, and like don't watch Netflix, like you've got to listen to like business podcasts and shit. And I just think it misses such a huge part of being human, which is like doing stuff that you intrinsically enjoy, you know, like reading Harry Potter if you're a nerd like me. Like I threw that shit away, and video games too. Two things that aren't productive, and so I threw them away. Like, well, these are part of my problem. Like if only as a teenager I'd been reading these recommended productivity books instead, you know, I'd be in such a different place. And it's like you just end up throwing away so much stuff that gives you joy, and like valuing friendships less because you're like, well, I can't. What's the point in hanging out with friends? I need to build my business or whatever. It's just like, it's so terrible. So I think this is a huge thing that happens in the effective altruism community too, where people become so obsessed with the suffering in the world and like the need for them to be contributing and being as effective as possible. And like, what's the term? Yeah, this is maddening. I'm totally blanking on a term, which is like, when you consider if I'm doing a task right now, then I'm missing out because I could be doing other stuff. So opportunity cost, dude. Yeah, I don't know if I can know. But basically effective altruism and productivity culture, you just end up like undervaluing things like art and enjoyment, at least in my case, because it's just like, well, it's not contributing to my wider aims or whatever, or like helping the world and But yeah, I think this like growth axis, you can grow for a while and then you really need to fucking chill out. I think another way to slice this idea is like thinking about the shadow in like Jungian psychology of like, it may be true that there's a part of you that just needs hedonism and needs to like just totally relax and just I don't know, like eat unhealthy stuff or like smoke a cigarette or something. And I found this, I did a meditation retreat recently at home and I felt like I hit a point where I just had to do something like really hedonistic, which for me was like eating 4 donuts. I felt like there was just part of me that was really rebelling, like no more of this fucking wholesome shit, like come on, we need to do something fun and like not just by the rules. So yeah, that feels important to me, like hedonism, like, and I still feel it. Like this morning I stayed in bed till 10 reading my Harry Potter fan fiction that I've been reading, and there was a voice in my head that was like, this isn't a productive way to spend your time, like there's too much to be doing, like come on. But now I have another voice which is like, yeah, but this is fun and like that's allowed. Another thing that I would make a video about if I was in the business of like sharing wisdom or giving advice, it's like something that I call layer 1 and layer 2, which is like layer 1 is just what's happening right now in your like senses. Like I can see stuff, I have like my physical sensations and sound and stuff, and then layer 2 is like thinking in reaction to that. So it could be layer 1 is like I'm currently feeling shy because I'm with someone who I don't know very well, and that is true, it like exists in layer 1. And then layer 2 is like kind of a meta reaction to that, which is like stories and stuff, like, oh, you're feeling shy, like this is proof that you're like a loser, and oh my god, this is so bad, and it like amplifies and stuff. And this was kind of my whole breakthrough, really, was discovering that layer 2 isn't really necessary. And I had like a pure layer 1 experience, and it was just really reassuring, because it's like, whoa, I've been trapped in like thought spirals probably most of my life, and they've gone away temporarily, but just like, oh man, I still exist, and I'm just in layer 1. It's very peaceful. And it's like, there's a Lot Kelly quote of what's here right now when there's no problem to solve, which is very layer 1. It's just like, oh yeah, I can just like stop efforting completely. So that's another video I'd like to make, is just like about sitting and doing truly nothing for like half an hour to an hour, which is a really great way to like just let go of layer 2 and just be like, like I don't have to do anything, like this is fine. So yeah, that's another one. Another one would be like aliveness versus locking in, following your aliveness versus locking in. It feels like another self-improvement culture thing is like the grind, and like I kind of think of it as self-coercion, like I'm going to make myself do these habits every day no matter what, or even use a tool like BeMinder, and I'm going to have this morning routine which is really strict, and I'll do it every day. And like for me, every single thing in my life that I've thought I'm going to do this now every day, I've stopped at some point. And now I just think it's all kind of like delusional, like kind of telling yourself that you can master yourself in this way, and if only you can get the perfect morning routine, then everything will be fixed. Another term for this is the genie problem. It's like you do something once and you're like, holy shit, this is the thing, this is going to fix me, this is great, like if I just do this regularly, it'll solve all my problems. And then invariably you like forget about it and it falls away, and then you find another thing. Like this must have happened to me many dozens of times, just like, holy shit, yeah, this is the thing now, this is awesome. Whereas I think the opposite is just like following your aliveness every day, like not waking up with a particular set of routines and habits that you're going to do, but just being like, yeah, let me just see what feels correct like tomorrow, and I'll do it when it comes up, which I think has its own kind of problems in that you can seem really flaky. Like I go from being really into like, oh, I'm going to write poetry 1 week, and then the next like, oh no, I had some insight and now I realize I don't want to do that, and now I'm doing this thing. So I think it can make you seem a bit mad, but it feels important. Yeah. And the final thing on this is like, if I was going to make a video that was prescriptive or like shared my opinions on stuff, it'd be something around like, there's a Sasha Chapin quote that I really like about trusting your own salience filter versus like externalizing it in some way. So like, I think to-do lists are an example of this. Like if something's really important, you won't forget about it and you'll do it. And to-do lists can be useful just to reassure yourself, but they can really easily just get full of like stale ass tasks that you end up with this huge backlog of stuff that you're never going to do because it's not alive, and maybe it was 4 weeks ago and now you've updated. So I think there's a strong argument for just like not having a to-do list or having a really lightweight one, because I have things like I need to file my taxes, and it's just like important and will get done. And I don't need some elaborate system to like, rank it in some priority listing and shit. It's just like, yeah, it's important. I'm not going to forget. I think another example of this is second brain systems. This was a dumb ass self-improvement rabbit hole that I fell down of like, putting loads of stuff in the second brain system, thinking that at some point I would use it, and I think it was just like a anxiety alleviating thing that was really dumb in retrospect, and I never looked at the stuff, and I made loads of flashcards in Anki that I ended up just deleting, because it was like, I don't know why I thought I needed to learn this stuff. I think it was just like, alleviating my anxiety. There's a really good time management book called, I think, 40,000 Weeks, which is kind of an anti-time management book, and the point is really just like, we're all going to die, and we're all like, we forget this a lot, and we use a lot of tactics to kind of reassure ourselves that like, if only we have the right systems in place and stuff, then we'll live forever and we'll solve all our problems. And it's kind of actually, it's like an anti-time management book. It's like, we barely have any time. Stop making dumbass to-do lists and huge lists of things to do, and just embrace life. So the salience filter thing is like, I can make a big list of all the videos that I might want to make, but like, if they're not alive to me, then I won't make them. So it's like, there's not much point. I might as well just trust in what currently feels salient like each day, and just iterate and change. I can change my plans a lot, like, so that's that. I just wanted to get this off my chest, like various things. I don't know how coherent they'll be in this kind of format, just rambly. Like, they make a lot of sense to me, may make no sense to anyone else. But that's kind of like a download of what's in my brain. I don't know what I'm doing with this YouTube channel. It feels odd to me. Like, there's a big voice in my head that's like, you need to make certain types of videos or like niche down in some way. Then there's a huge part of me that's like, I really just want to follow my aliveness and do whatever. And that might mean I have no audience because my videos are just erratic as shit and like no one likes them but me. And I like can't make money from this, but I really would hate to get cynical with it and be like, okay, this type of video works, I'm just going to do it. Like, I made my second song parody video yesterday and it just felt grindy and kind of whorish. It was just like, am I kind of just doing this because the first one got a good amount of views and I don't think I'll be doing any more. So it's very strange. It's really weird. But I think old school YouTube was a bit more like this, just like people chatting absolute shit and just being themselves. So, that's what I want to do at the moment. And I'm following my aliveness. So thanks for watching if you did. And there's definitely an argument for just creating is good for the sake of it. Like, it does feel like a nice self-affirming activity to do this shit and just hit publish and be like, why not? Like, this is nice. I haven't done this for so many years that feels good. And thinking in more of a like an analytical way of like, how long should a video be, how like to title it to make it catchy and stuff, does feel a little like I'm losing track of my initial vision from 2 weeks ago, which is just like, just chat shit about whatever's on my mind. So cool. Okay, bye.